What up, my podcast people?
Welcome back to Motherhood Unhinged. My name's Chandra.
Courtney.
And Chelsea.
And today we'll be discussing Grieving the Unimaginable, life after losing a baby.
It's going to be a little intense, so a little trigger warning. If you're still new or fresh to stuff like this or get triggered easily, I would highly suggest taking care of yourself first and then maybe coming back to this episode later.
Yeah, because this episode discusses the infant loss in a baby carried that's still loved and a love that will last a lifetime. This may be difficult for some listeners, so take care of your heart, grab your tissues, and we'll get into it. So this episode will exclusively be about Gatlin and Courtney's infant loss journey that we've kind of talked about and touched a little on throughout the whole beginning of our podcast. It's sensitive.
We know there's a lot of mamas out there that have experienced this, unfortunately. And I think Courtney just kind of wants to share her story.
Yeah. That's why we're choosing to speak up. So we're going to talk about the beginning of her journey, pregnancy experience, or birth story.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to thank you guys and everybody who is going to listen to this episode because it is heavy. I already feel the heaviness. But I just want to thank you for holding the space to let me talk about it. And hopefully is not even the right word. I don't want people to connect with me on this. But if it resonates with you, if you've been through this, then I hope it helps. I hope that we connect on something and it helps your grief journey. And
obviously we like to joke and stuff, and we're not professionals by any means. So whatever we say, if it triggers you in some way, we're not intentionally doing it. And just because she explains something a certain way versus maybe how you would explain it doesn't make it any less important.
Right.
So if she uses a word that you're like, it's just let her explain her story.
And I totally get it because there was things I read after going through my loss that I'm like, I don't resonate with that, and that's not how it was, or that's not how I felt, or I didn't say that, or everybody grieves differently, and so what I might say or what I might have done may not even be close to what you would have said or what you would have done. So just take that and just
take what resonates with you and then leave what doesn't.
Yeah.
So, anywho's.
All right, you want to start at the beginning?
So the very beginning. Let me think here. May 2022, we found out we were pregnant with our first son. His name was Gatlin. And honestly, from there on, the picture perfect pregnancy. Obviously, people say, don't announce, don't do this, don't do that until you're 12 weeks pregnant or till you reach a certain point. And we did just that. We announced our pregnancy. And I mean, I think you can attest to this. Like, I loved being pregnant. I felt 100.
You looked great.
All the time.
You were glowing.
I loved it. I can't even describe it. Never.
She had an opposite pregnancy than I did. So I was always like, yours was so good.
Yeah.
Why is mine awful?
Yours was awful. But really just jump about 38 weeks. Really the first time that I just felt awful. 'Tis the season. It was winter, all that sinusy stuff.
Winter sucks.
Cruddy, all that
For all
jazz.
the sickness.
I was just kind of down and out. Had went into the hospital, got everything checked out. Just winter crud. And then I guess I was 39 weeks, and I had told Trent, it was a Sunday, and I had told Trent that I just wasn't feeling right. I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I just don't feel great.
Like, did you feel physically unwell, or was it just like almost an intuition? Like, there's something
physically.
Weird? Okay.
Yeah. I remember it wasn't like me. I remember coming home from work, immediately falling asleep on the couch. I remember...
and I remember specifically telling me that you didn't really do naps or nothing during your pregnancy, so that is odd.
Yeah, like I just wasn't feeling good. And it was a Sunday, and Trent's like, well, do we want to go in? Like, what are you thinking? And I'm like, it's probably just all this crud I'm going through. If I still feel crappy in the morning, I'll go in. come Monday morning, I felt totally fine. I was good, cleaning house, getting everything ready. I mean, at this point, it's a Monday, and Tuesday I was due to be induced. So I'm about to I am hitting my 40-week point. Like, I am ready to have this baby. And I was vacuuming our floor. I remember it so vividly, and all of a sudden it hit me. And I was like, when was the last time I felt him move? And actually, at this point, we did not know what we were having. We did not know the gender of our baby. So, no, we did not find out.
You didn't find out.
Yeah. So at this point, I say him, but I was like, when was the last time that I felt the baby move? And I could not narrow it down. And I started panicking. Well, I called our OB, and of course they're like, just go ahead, grab your bags, you're due to be induced tomorrow, we're probably just going to keep you, let's have you come into the OB floor and we'll just see how everything goes, and then we'll probably just keep you. And I was like, okay, sounds great. So looking back now, feel like I was super naive to think that something at 40 weeks could be wrong. I mean, I think that we all assume once we hit that safe point to share your pregnancy, we're in the clear. Like, you hear stories, but you don't ever think that it's going to happen to you. That's never going to be your story.
I think that's just natural for all of us.
Yeah. So looking back, I just feel so naive. But so I called Trent, super excited. And I'm like, hey, like, I don't know when the last time I felt the baby was, but I think that I'm just probably overreacting and freaking out. I'm sure I've felt the baby. But I was cleaning, but anyways, it's super exciting. They're just going to have me bring my bags and you'll probably just come to the hospital after work, since we're due to be induced tomorrow. And he was like, okay, do you want me to leave work? I was like, no, you're good. Just come there after work. And so I get there. Well, I walk up to the OB floor and of course they have you change into the gown, get you all ready. And I remember one of the nurses coming in and feeling around on my stomach and taking the Doppler and looking for his heartbeat. And she doesn't find anything. And so the next one tries. And all of a sudden I hear a heartbeat. And I'm like, oh, thank God. And she's like, well, there's yours. And I'm like, okay, like, sure, that's mine. Okay, surely she's going to find it. And she looks at me and she's like, give me 1 second. So another one walks in, and I don't know, had you guys used one of those like pulse, like the little vibrator things on your stomach? This was my first time doing that. So they did that and pressing around and everything. And she's like, sweetie, I'm going to step out for just a minute and we'll come right back. And I think that's when it hit me that something was not right. As soon as I'm in the room by myself, I call Trent, and I think that's when I kind of broke. And I had told him, I was like, I'm here and I need you. And I was like, I need you to get here right now because I don't think they're finding his heartbeat. And like he almost hung up. He was so quick. And as soon as Trent actually was walking in the hospital room, because I think he was only working like 10, 15 minutes from the hospital. By that point, he walks in, followed by the doctor, or vice versa. And he brings in the ultrasound machine, and he's looking for the baby's heartbeat. And I could just tell by his face. And I hear him make a phone call, and he basically said, like, I want radiology such and such stat. So then enrolls the radiology tech ultrasound with an even bigger machine, newer looking machine. And she's moving it around and taking images and moving it around and taking images. And I seen her look at him, and she just kind of nodded no. And that's when our doctor then kind of had to call it. He's like, I'm really sorry, guys, but we're not finding the baby's heartbeat. And I don't know verbatim what he had said at that point, but obviously he had told us that we had lost our baby. And I remember looking at Trent in that moment. Obviously, we're both sobbing. What else? But I remember looking at Trent and I said, I'm so sorry. Don't hate me. And he was like, why would I hate you? And I said, because I feel like this is my fault. Because this was my job to be his protector, his safe space, you know?
I feel like that guilty feeling is something that all moms, I haven't experienced it, but just talking to other moms, I feel like that's a common thing that all moms always say is like, it's my fault.
Yeah.
What did I do?
What did I do?
What
Or
could
Well,
I
and you
have
guys
done
have had
different?
kids, you know, like as soon as you find out you're pregnant, from that moment on, you're like, this is my responsibility. Like, I'm going to protect this with
I've
my
got to eat
life.
better. I've got to do this. I can't do this.
Yes.
I'm not going to do this. Yes.
Yeah, so I think
100%.
I just instantly in that moment was like, what happened? What did I do? What did I do wrong? What could I have done better? What, like, just my mind
Flooded.
went a million different places.
Right. Yeah.
That's just the moment everything changed in that, you know, experience for you.
Yeah. And I will say, unfortunately, Chandra and I cannot relate because we have not went through that. But I will say that I know exactly when you were explaining how you knew what on the doctor's face, on the nurse's face, you could just tell what was happening. I did also have a miscarriage, nothing like that way down the line, but I know exactly in that moment when you're like, okay, no,
You're like,
something's
not.
going on, because yep, I totally understand, and I can relate to that tiny part of your story,
Yeah.
because
How many
you
weeks
can
were
tell.
you?
I think it was close to
16?
12.
Oh, 12.
So just about to that quote unquote safe.
You'd heard the
space.
heartbeat before?
No, this was when they did the, I don't know why they make you wait so long now. I think it's about the 12-week part when they do the ultrasound. And that's when they couldn't, but I had already had babies, so I kind of knew what to look for, and I knew there was no bean on the screen.
Yeah.
So when she was looking at the sack, there was nothing in it. So I'm like, I know what I'm looking at because I've had 2 kids already at this
Right.
point. So as soon as she was acting weird and saying these things, kind of like what you were just explaining, I already knew. So
Yeah.
I totally can understand as soon as
It's
you
like they don't
call
even have to say a word.
You're like, okay, no, I need my safe spot right now.
Yeah.
Like I need you right here because
Yeah.
this is, I know something's wrong and I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Well, it's like all your hopes and dreams and everything that you had been anticipating are then ripped from you. And like, especially at your mark at 41 when Gatlin's born, it's like you just spent the last 9 months preparing.
Yeah. Just to have everything ready, the nursery prepped, the bags packed, the like everything just so prepared, and to have it all just wiped away in the matter of seconds is soul crushing. Like,
It's not like when you're gambling and you know what you're betting. This is like you had no expectations that this was what was going to be the end game, you know?
Well, you
Like,
were expecting to leave with
you
a
were expecting
baby.
to live with the baby.
Like,
and I think that it's just ingrained in us for most women to be moms. We want to be a mom. That is your goal in life. Like, I seen myself being a mom and I wanted to be a mom. And at this point I was 30 years old. And so I was so ready for that. And I just saw our life starting as a family. Like, obviously there was Trent and I, but like we were ready to grow our family. And to have that literally just feel like it was ripped away from my hands just crushed every part of me.
so then, if you obviously want to go into it deeper, what made the decision for you to be able to, and this is an intense question, obviously, and everybody has a different answer and a different way they did things, but what made you decide to spend time with Gatlin before?
So actually, continuing back to like our story and the birth and everything, we spent a couple days in the hospital because your mind is on a total whirlwind. Like, I didn't know what the right answer was for anything that they were coming at me with. They would ask me if I wanted this or if I wanted that, because not only in that very moment when I found out that our baby was no longer coming home with us, like I thought that my life could not get any worse at that very second. But then you learn 10 minutes later that it can get a whole heck of a lot worse when you realize, okay, you lost your child, but now we still have to bring this child into said world. So you realize that you still have to birth your child. So after some complications and other stuff we don't have to get into, I guess, so we found out on Monday. On Wednesday, we actually ended up having Gatlin via C-section. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
You just had him C-section, and then I'm assuming, did you have to make the decision before you
had to make the decision for a normal vaginal delivery or a C-section.
Yes.
She opted for the vaginal, but wasn't progressing.
And then, so then we had a C-section. But the thing with that, the kicker with that was that I had to be put to sleep. And if you are put to sleep, your husband cannot be in the room with you. I think looking back, that was 100% the best case scenario. I obviously didn't want to be present, but then also Trent not being in the room, I think that was the best thing for him as well, because how do we bring a child in and hear silence? Do you know what I mean? So we have him via C-section, and at that point, they get me post-op back up to my room. At this point, we still don't know what the baby is. Our doctor and our nurses were phenomenal, and they still actually gave us our little moment. 2 of our nurses prepped everything aboard and all that stuff, and I'll never forget when they walked into the room. And they still made it a point to be like, do you want to know what your baby is? And we're like, yeah. And in walks Gatlin, or in walks one of our nurses holding Gatlin, and they've told us he was a boy. And a close friend of mine, actually, I'm jumping back again.
It's okay.
Prior to all of this, somebody had asked if we wanted any pictures, and I'm like, I don't know, like, what do you do? And after coming to terms with everything, we knew, like, oh yeah, like, this is going to be our only opportunity to see him. Like, this is going to be our only time. Like, there aren't pictures after this time. So we were like, yeah, 100%. So a close friend of mine came in and photographed pictures of our baby and us with him, and him with our families. And so I actually have pictures of our first moments getting to see him and what he looked like. And obviously the most perfect, tiny little bundled up baby. I just would have never thought he would look so perfect after knowing what he had been through, you know? But yeah, after that, it was, then you move on to another whole decision of people are coming at you about, what do you want to do after this? Like, do you want to have a funeral? Do you want to have this? Do you want to have that? Because there's different steps you have to take if you want to do this, and different steps you've got to take if you want to do that. And I didn't know what to do. I mean, if I'm being totally 100% honest, I'm 30 years old at this point, and I don't know where I'm being buried. I don't know where I'm having a funeral. I have not thought about these things. You know what I mean? And I told my mom that. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have this mapped out. Nobody plans on having a child or having to bury their child at 30 years old. And so I was talking to my family, and Chan actually was like, I just want to let you know that you don't owe anyone anything.
Absolutely.
If you want to have him in your arms for as long as possible, and that means that this decision can't happen because of this, or you can't have a certain type of funeral because of this, then that's nobody's business but your own. And she's like, do what you feel is best. So at that point, we chose to have Gatlin in our arms for as long as they would let me have him. And I don't know how it is for every hospital or what the situation is, but we spent almost 24 hours with him, which
that's fantastic.
Which was, I mean, not enough.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not
But
enough.
never enough.
I knew how Courtney and I feel about like closed casket funerals. Like you don't feel like you get to see that person and that grief realization of like they're actually gone, you know, seeing their physical body. So I knew in that moment like she was struggling, like she was hurting. She clearly wanted her baby time, but she also probably felt for everybody else of like not getting to see him. And so that's when I looked
just
at her.
didn't know what the right thing to do was.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, I mean, you can't prepare, or everyone doesn't prepare for that. So when somebody's coming at you with 10 different questions and you're still trying to process the most devastating thing you've ever been through, it's like, dude, leave me alone. That's, I'm assuming, is probably how you felt.
And
I just wanted her to like put everybody else aside and be selfish for a moment, and like this is literally the only time in your life that you're gonna get to have this little boy in your arms.
Everybody needs a Chandra, because you tell her something, she will go to jail for you. She'll be like, no, she wants this is what we're doing, leave her alone.
Everybody does need a Chandra.
That's for sure.
Just being a nurse and being like in the neonatal area and like seeing deaths and things like that, just taking babies away from their parents, and as a nurse sometimes even feeling like it's too fast and like we're just gonna, you know, switch to the next patient and get the room cleaned and recycle that habit, because hospitals, I mean nationwide, like don't have rooms, or like people are vying for that space. It's like I just wanted to make sure like that didn't matter. You were going to be in that room anyways, so like let him be with you kind of thing.
Yeah. And I feel like our nurses and our doctor, like you might be able to back me up on this, I feel like they just really met me where I was. Do you know what I mean? Like they
didn't pressure you, or
no,
like,
they were the most comforting people, and I think that's why I feel the way I do about them. And actually I was with most of them, or some of them, through the birth of our second baby, and I think that's why I hold them so dear to me, is because they seen me at my most rock bottom,
most vulnerable state.
yeah,
I mean,
but then were now with me again for like my most joyous moments.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
like seeing almost like a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. I remember after we had just found out that we lost Gatlin, somebody initiated a prayer within my hospital room. They're like, we're going to pray, whatever. And one of the nurses kind of popped her head around and was like, I remember this, and how I remember this over everything. She's like, do you guys mind if I stay in here and pray with you? And so she did. And then I think our doctor stayed in the room just with me and Trent at one point and prayed over us. And then another nurse had asked to pray with us, and I remember her just clasping onto Trent and I's hands and dropping to her knees and praying with us. And so like they all just really made it a point to like just meet us where we were and be there for
Like
whatever.
it wasn't just a job to them.
Yeah.
It's like an emotional, like it's like it's walking a tightrope. It's like you want to say all the right things, you want to do all the right things. And I know like when I got the call, Mom called me, because you called Mom, I guess, or Trent called Mom. And
Yeah, I told Trent to call Mom, and I told it to go on from there within our bubble.
I was at work in St. Louis in a NICU, and I was just like, can they take the baby? Like, can they get him up here? Is there anything like... That was probably the hardest position for me to be in, because as a big sister, as medical professionals, like, you just want to jump in. You want to help. Like, what can I do? How can I fix this? And I've always been like, how can I help her? How can I fix whatever her problems are, you know, kind of like lay it all on me. And I think that was the hardest part, is walking in knowing that there wasn't a damn thing that I could do to take away that hurt, that pain, and fix any of it. Like, this is my professional area. This is my expertise, and there was not anything I could do. And that was hard.
Yeah. I remember you telling me at one point, you're like, I just feel jaded because I see so many things, and you're like, I just know that if Gatlin were here, he'd be going home to a loving family.
Yep.
And you're like, to see that being ripped away was just really hard.
It is. It's really hard to see, like, the things that could be so wonderful getting ripped from people who you know are going to make the most of them, you know. Life, man.
It's
It's a whirlwind for sure. Before getting into just random questions, is there any other, like, more of the story that you want to get into, like anything about his funeral, where you decided to bury him?
We ended up, which again, I didn't know what the right thing was, and I had spoke to another lost mom afterwards, and we went about our situations totally differently. We ended up having a funeral for all of our close family and friends to come to, and at that point, Trit and I kind of figured out, like, okay, we truly don't know what life holds. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We went and bought funeral plots for, as morbid as that sounds, like, I now know where I will be.
Yes.
Just things you just don't want to even think about. So actually, Gatlin will be buried between Trent and I.
Oh, I love that, though.
Yeah. But we really haven't done anything more to progress that because, again, I think it's such a hard thing for me to even grasp that we had to do. And so, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. I
Want to
mean, do you
go
want to
into,
just
like,
go into
how you felt support, how people responded, kind of like what stands out to you?
Honestly, whenever you think about support after grieving the loss of your child, you know that you have your people, your family and your friends. They are going to be there through and through. And I knew that. But there was nothing that anybody could say that was going to make anything even in the slightest bit better.
like almost like your support? Not that it didn't matter, but in those times you're like, I don't even care. Like,
Yeah.
what are you going to do for
me? I
me?
hate to say
Like,
that.
you feel bad?
Yeah. I'm
But-
like, thank you.
Yeah.
But no thank you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and you can be completely honest because I'm sure there's several people that are going to relate completely to
yeah,
that.
it just, nothing was going to help. The amount of times that I heard, I'm praying for you,
Yeah.
or you have my sympathy, or there's one phrase that I'll touch on in a minute that nails on a chalkboard to me. But nothing that anybody ever was going to tell me was going to make anything feel better at all. I remember so many people telling me how strong I was, and that I could not handle.
You couldn't.
Like, the amount of times that people would be like, oh my gosh, Courtney, I just don't even know how you're doing this. You are just so strong. And I'm like, how? Like, how am I strong? Like,
I didn't choose this.
Yeah, I don't have a choice. Like, I wasn't given a choice. This is what I've been dealt. I'm strong for dealing with it. Like, it just crushed me. And in a way, and maybe it's the way that I was just like, my feelings were absorbing all the words and everything people were saying. When somebody would tell me that I was so strong, or that they couldn't believe how I was handling this, to me, I was taking that as, you're doing so good. You're handling this so well.
I could see that.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I'm like,
It's almost like it just pushes you and you're like, I'm sorry, what?
I know, I'm like, I'm strong and I'm doing, how am I handling that? Like, no.
Like, you
I'm
don't
like,
see
I'm
behind
not.
closed doors.
Yes. I literally told people that. I'm like, you don't know what happens when you leave my house. First of all, when people would come to my house, I was mute. Like, I didn't want to talk. I don't know how many times I would just be sitting there in just silence, just staring at God knows what, and just crashing onto my floor crying. Like,
That'd be
nothing
another question,
about
too.
me was strong in that moment.
It was just you were going through every day like you.
Yeah, I'm
Had
just
to.
rolling through the motions. And I never will forget one friend, like, obviously at the funeral, we're standing up by our son's casket. And she's like, obviously, I put on a dress. I had some curls in my hair. And she says, obviously now knowing everybody means well. Nobody's intentions are bad in these moments.
And just because she's about to say what she's about to say doesn't mean that it's an attack in any form or statement. Okay, let's make this very clear. This was a deep, dark time for her. So just because this is how she felt doesn't mean that she doesn't understand the intentions now. I just want to make that clear because I know some of y'all are really mean on the internet. So keep it to yourselves.
What she said. But she walked up to me and she's just like, oh my gosh, I just don't even know how you're here doing this. Like, you're just so strong. Like, I would not be able to do this.
Like, trying to be comforting, but in that moment, you're just like,
and
once again, I didn't choose this.
I think at this point, it was my breaking point in all of it, in all of the communication. And I did kind of flip a switch, and I remember looking at her and just being like, well, unfortunately, this is the last day that I'm going to be next to my son. This is the last day that I'm going to have a day that is specifically for him, surrounded by all of our loved ones. I think that he deserved for his mom to roll out of bed, get dressed, look her best, and honor him. In looking back, I see how that could have been a little harsh. But it's just one of those things.
I don't think it was quite harsh. I think that people in the midst of their literally worst moments of their life really have an excuse, in my opinion. I mean, you're welcome to say whatever you feel.
Yeah.
And then, you can reflect later. But I don't think that makes you a bad person. I don't think that the other person should have. I think that walking into a situation like that, somebody being an outsider, I think you should prepare yourself for just any kind of emotion.
Anything.
I think it's
in these
valid.
moments,
that's part of being a supporter.
Yes.
Like, you have to expect to be.
Yep.
Like, you're mad, you're upset, beat me up. You
Yep.
know, like, I'll take it for you.
it.
You know.
Well, I was going to say, with the whole strong comment, I had another friend who said the same thing. You're just so strong. And she is a very close friend. And so I completely 100% lashed out on her.
Yeah.
I sent her a novel about why I wasn't strong, why I needed her to stop saying it, this and that. And later on, I obviously apologized. She understood why I was feeling the way I was feeling and why I lashed out.
Yes.
But she said, Courtney, she's like, you do not owe me any apologies. She's like, I know you enough to know that came from a place of just deep hurt.
Yes.
And she's like, but you knew that you could lash out on me the way that you did because you knew that I could handle it.
Yep.
She's like, I know that more people ticked you off and said things that weren't okay, but you couldn't always say what was on your mind to them, and I knew that you could say that to me.
Yeah.
So you're fine. She's like, if that's what it took to let you get that out, then by all means,
Let me be your punching bag.
That's a true friend.
Yeah,
That is a
truly.
true friend.
Truly. I remember kind of backing up a little bit. Chandra calling me on that day, and she wanted me to come support her. Not support you as well, but she also needed somebody because she was wanting to take the pain away, and she couldn't, like what she was explaining before. And I was heavily pregnant at the time, and I remember walking in, and your mom, before going into the room, we were in the hallway, and she's like, hey, just so you know, she might say some things that just please don't take it to heart. And I'm like, first off, you don't have to warn me, okay? I know what I'm walking into, and if she has to say, she could say literally whatever to me, and I'm not going to take it to heart, because I would hope she would let me do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Nobody's in their right mental state at that time, and you just.
And I definitely wasn't. And I remember you being there, and I remember your baby bump, and I remember not saying a lot to you. Do you know what I mean?
Yep. I gave you a hug, and I kind of just sat in the background. And was just like, I'm here when you need me, but it was a little awkward because I already knew I would probably feel the exact same way you did if it was roles were reversed.
It was one of those things that I didn't even know what I was feeling or what I should be feeling. Everything was just so numb.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good word.
Just numb.
Numb.
Yeah.
It's like an out-of-body experience. Like, this world is going on around you, but you're sitting in this hospital bed, and there's nothing.
So going into that, is
can
that, did you, because there was multiple of us, obviously, that were pregnant. Was there hard feelings? And obviously, you're welcome to say whatever. Was there, like, envy where you're like, why not you? Like, why me?
Because now we're kind of getting into the aftermath, like your immediate grief after, like what that looked like and how you went on
you
With
know,
life.
to the baby showers that you were invited to, and, you know, all these things that would just be a constant reminder. Like, what did you do to handle
Right.
those things to the best that you could?
Well, at that point when you had come, like, I had not had Gatlin yet. Like, so
You haven't
I'm
even began processing, really.
Yeah, like I still have this baby bump. But looking at yours, I did envy you like wholeheartedly, because I was not that I was never the why me and not you.
Why?
Like, I would never wish that on anybody, not my worst enemy.
Sure.
But I was so envious, because I'm like, why can't I just backstep and everything be okay like them?
Yeah.
And like, you have this baby bump for a super positive reason. You're
Right.
awaiting the arrival of your baby and everything is going smooth. And I'm finding out that I have a baby that I still have to bring into this world that then I have to say goodbye to. To which I do want to backstep, talking about how each moment that goes on, like, you think you're hitting your rock bottom and then something else gets thrown in your face. Like, I talked about them coming in and asking about the funeral. Nothing is worse, and the most ultimate rock bottom is actually the moment that you know, after that 24 hours or whatever time you get with your baby, that you actually have to say goodbye. Like, you think that you're preparing yourself every second in the hospital, but like, all those strong comments, this is what would replay in my head. Because when I say that it was like a total torture that you would never, ever, ever fathom, like having somebody grab your baby out of your hands to leave that room for you to then never see them again. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's the last image you're
that
gonna
is
have.
the last moment. And I remember the nurse coming in probably 2 times that day and being like, Courtney, we're gonna have to call the funeral home soon. And I just was like, okay. And then I remember when she came back and she was like, Courtney, the funeral home, the director's here to pick him up. And like, just knowing that the minute I physically handed him away was going to be the last time I touched him or seen him or held his little hands and just cuddled him and kissed him. Like, that is what totally destroyed me.
I remember asking you like that morning multiple times, like, what time? Because like
I was
whole
pushing it
family-
off as much as I could.
we were just feeling heartbroken because we left him alone at the hospital.
Yes, everybody did. We wanted a little bit of time, just me, Trent, and the baby. So we spent a good at least hour with him.
But our
And
hearts were
then-
just breaking at home, knowing like
That was the day.
she was gonna be saying
And then we did allow like my parents, Trent's parents, our siblings, grandparents, everybody kind of just trickled in one at a time. And everybody got the opportunity to hold him and see him. And that was just important to me because, like, yes, it's my baby and it was my time, but I also, like, I wanted to share him with them too, knowing that that was going to be the only time that they had with him. So everybody did spend some time with him. But then I think it was you and Caitlin, maybe you guys were all like, I think it's pretty important that we all get out of here and let them just truly have their time, which was so important and so appreciated. So then we obviously had the rest of the evening, night, morning, all the way up till the afternoon with him. But that was by far the hardest moment. And I honestly don't know as a nurse how you handle anybody in that moment, because I can say it was not a good moment.
after knowing that they had said their goodbyes or whatnot, and when we went back up there, because we didn't want her and Trent walking out of the hospital like alone, like feeling like it was just them two to go conquer this cold, harsh world, you know. And I think that was one of the hard moments for me, was like you leaving the hospital empty-handed.
Yeah, so our close family had come back to the hospital the day we were getting discharged, and our nurse did walk us out, and I obviously broke down in the parking lot because now I'm getting into my car with my empty car seat, empty hands, and where am I going? Not home. Not home to my nursery with my baby. I'm going to the funeral home to set up arrangements for my son. And I'll actually never forget sitting in the funeral home office, and I asked them to see my son again. They cannot do that. They cannot. It's just not something that can be done. Mm-hmm. And so for my millionth breakdown by that point, I literally go ballistic at the funeral home. Like, I just was not me in these moments. So I think that going from that to then grief after, I just was not the same person that I was walking into that hospital on that Monday, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So do you feel like it was more of a mental, a physical, or like an emotional toll that you feel like you struggled with?
I honestly couldn't even tell you how I felt physically. I had a C-section, and I couldn't tell you a single bit about it. Like the
that.
pain of that was so invalid compared to everything else that I was going through. But mentally, I was hitting an ultimate low, a total rock bottom. Mentally, I was not well. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I was having social anxiety out of this world. I didn't know what to say. I didn't really have anything to say. I didn't want to leave my house because I was scared if I seen somebody and they did as much as hug me or ask how I was doing or tell me they were sorry, that I would just completely break down. Trent and I, weeks later, would go to Walmart, and I would sit in the car. I didn't want anybody to see me. The one time I did walk into Walmart and somebody literally hugged me, I just started bawling in the middle of Walmart. And I'm like, and this is why I don't. I have a very social job, and some might think that I would have came back to work. You know what I mean? But I took my whole maternity leave because I was scared of standing behind the chair and doing nothing but crying. Mm-hmm. Like, I just really didn't want to be anywhere with anyone.
So then, kind of going back with all that, I hate asking questions because it's almost like I feel like I'm like making you relive it, even though we literally have talked about this and asking the questions and stuff so other people can understand. What was something that, was there anything when you went home to the nursery and stuff that you remember doing to try to at some point find comforting? Or was there anything that, I don't know, going home and just experiencing it without the baby? I mean, obviously you probably cried a lot, I'm assuming, but then when did you, what did you do?
Let's preface by saying their house was just freshly built. They had just moved out of
my husband
living with me.
Yeah. My husband built our home, and we had just moved in January of 23.
2-3 weeks before.
Yeah. And so it was a pretty hustle time. Like, we moved in, got the nursery ready, got everything finalized. It didn't totally feel like home yet, which I think made a big difference. But then coming home now to this house that's supposed to house a family and has a nursery in it
with no doors
that
up yet.
that I loved, that was supposed to be
the
for
beginning.
our son. Yeah. I remember looking at Trent and saying, I hate it here. I hate this house and I don't want to live here. And I think he knew where I was coming from, but I think that crushed him.
Because he put all that effort into
making it a home.
He was pretty
for
much the
our
only
family.
one that really built the house.
Yeah.
Besides, some family, I'm assuming, helped.
Yeah. So that totally crushed him. But I actually got a journal from our younger sister. She got me this big journal, and she cricketed his name on the front and a poem on the back, and she actually gifted it to me at his funeral. And I was never really a big journaler, but I do feel like I'm way better with my words if I can write it out.
I feel like you've been like that since high school. You've been really good with words.
Paper for me before.
I did. She used to pay me to write her papers for college.
Of course, big sis. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right. But I took to journaling about him like nobody's business.
Like you had been doing it your whole life?
Yeah. Trent would come home and I would just be sitting at the dining room table just writing, and pages. And I was writing it like they were letters to him, like I was talking to him. Mm-hmm. Or some days I might be talking about an experience. I'm sure I could go read it right now and be talking about how people were upsetting me. You know what I mean? Like anything that I needed to get off of my chest, I was journaling. And that didn't help. Nothing helped, but it did make me feel a little better.
Like a little bit of the weight.
Yeah. Otherwise, there really wasn't too many things that I really had the motivation to do to really
kind of just had to wait for time to kind of
I know there was a lot of like back end conversation with us and Trent being like, we have to get her out of this house. Like we have to get her involved again and go do something. And I know I'd be like, Courtney, like you, in the nicest loving way possible, knowing she might rip my head off. Like, Courtney, you've got to get out of your house. Mm-hmm. Like you can't sit here forever. And she probably hated me in that moment.
I think that was actually the day that I lashed out. I don't know if you remember that, but I
might have tried to forget it.
I just totally freaked because I didn't want to be.
Yeah, and you know people say things like, well, you didn't lose a baby, you know, da 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 da. Like, yeah, I don't,
you were her
I don't know what it felt like, but I know that you cannot survive in the solidarity of your home in confinement. Like, unfortunately, life is going to go on.
Right. Like on your nurse end, you were like, okay, listen, I got to pick you up because you can't, this is not good. Yep. Like mentally, I understand.
Like I thought I was going to physically have to like get her out of the house to not make Trent have to do it, you know? Right. Mm-hmm. But I think it was that moment of being like real, like I'm your big sister and I know that this is what's going to help you.
This sucks right now, but we're going to do it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That'd be another leading question. I feel like is just your marriage. I mean, what did that look like at the time?
So actually, I remember being, obviously it's a whirlwind, but I remember our doctor walking into us and it was the day that we were about to leave. And it was like this one last little like, hey, I need to tell you this moment. And he comes in, he's like, I just want you guys to know that you are really going to have to lean on each other. He's like, I don't know you outside of your appointments. Right. He's like, but I just have a pretty solid idea that you guys have a good foundation and that you guys are a strong couple. But like when I tell you this, I mean it wholeheartedly. Like lean on each other because you are not going to get through this as easily as you think you will. And you guys are going to disagree and you guys are going to grieve totally different. Mm-hmm. And we obviously were just like, okay, thank you. Sounds great.
Kind of going through the motion at that time. But
when he left, Trent and I looked at each other and we're like, there's not a lot that Trent and I don't agree on, or we don't.
You're pretty flowy together.
For lack of better words, we're pretty solid. Yeah. Like, so we were kind of like, we're going to be okay. We are going to lean on each other. Like, we're the only ones right now who knows the depth of what this feels like and the heaviness. We're going to be okay together.
Right.
We're not fine, but we're going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And honestly, it was maybe a couple days in at home and I knew exactly what our doctor was talking about because things were not great between Trent and I. We were okay until we weren't. We were grieving very differently. But you have to think about the fact that I got to carry Langston Gatlin, first baby. I got to carry Gatlin for 40 weeks. Trent didn't. Mm-hmm. He got to feel him from time to time, but there's just that like different feeling. Not that he wasn't bonded with him, right, but like as a mom, we just got to experience so much more.
Then you just have the different gender.
Well, and seeing as like
ways that we all handle things different.
Right. And I mean, dads really don't get the bonding until after he's here. And with him
Right.
only really having the bonding with you because you felt him, you grew him,
Yeah.
you started it.
Right.
I'm sure that was totally different.
Yeah. And anybody who knows Trent knows that he's a very social butterfly. He could talk to a brick wall. Like,
Yeah.
he's fine. But when it actually comes to like feelings and getting down to like the nitty gritty of it, he'll tell me, he's like, I'm just not as good as my words. Like, I don't have the words that you have. I can't describe it the way that you describe it. I don't know what to say. And I get that. But at that moment, I did not get that. And I was having a really hard time because I wanted it to be like Gatlin was here without Gatlin being here, if that makes sense. It really hurt my feelings when people would not talk about him. I don't want to be specific, but like even certain family members between Trent and I just would not bring him up, wouldn't say his name. And I told Trent, I'm like, I can't stand it. And he would say, they just don't want to see you upset. They just don't want to make you cry. They don't want to hurt your feelings. And I'm like, they're hurting my feelings by acting like he doesn't exist.
Right.
If you are going to choose to not say his name and act like he is a part of this family, then you are choosing to forget him. And that is the last thing that I want anybody to do. I wanted my friends to talk about him. I wanted my friends after a certain point when I was more social. I wanted it to be like I had a baby.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. You hadn't forgot. Like, you had him and then forgot and moved on with life. And
Yes.
I think that's why, like, healing and honoring is so important because, like, for support and community that we can all find within each other or through counseling, grief counseling, church groups, life groups, things like that, it's important for us to ask, like, hey, do you mind if we talk about this? Or, hey, is it okay if we mention his name?
Yeah.
And, like, if you're close to somebody, just, like, asking, like, what boundaries are,
Right.
and
And that's
are,
really
are allowed to
important.
be said.
And then just realize that they might lash out at you and that's okay. Take it and be like, okay, like I understand the boundary now, or I don't understand, but I'm not going to push. I'll just wait.
Yeah.
I'll ask the questions later.
And I think that's just what the hardest part is Trent didn't really know what to say.
I think that's the thing, though, is, like, Trent had probably never
Bless you.
experienced, besides the death of his dad, like, a grief within his own roof. And so it's important to know, like, grief isn't a one
Size
and
fits
done
all.
thing. It's not a one size fit. It is an ongoing journey. It's like your grief is, like, ongoing through every milestone. It'll be like 16th birthday. He should have been getting his driver's license. 21.
Oh,
We should have been taking him
absolutely.
out for his 21st. Marriage. Like,
Yeah.
he should be
As
having a
soon
wedding.
as you lose your child, you instantly realize all these things that you're not going to ever get to do. And it's heartbreaking.
Absolutely.
I can't even describe it.
I don't think it's one of those things you really can describe except just, like you said earlier, numb. I mean,
Yeah.
And I think, like, support within our circle was a little different too than some people get to experience this, because I don't know, like, if any of our followers know, but, like, or even friends, because I don't know if everybody knows, but our mom lost her firstborn too. And so our mom went through the exact same thing Courtney did at full term. And so their stories literally to a T replicate each other. And I know then that worry then affected me in carrying my firstborn, because I'm like, I don't want to be another one of that statistic. I don't want to. That's why.
Well, and so we actually went and seen a
was
genetics
awful
doctor
feeling.
after my aunt had recommended a doctor that she works with up in the city, and we had went and seen him. And actually, I made Chandra and Josh take me, and Chandra went back in the room with me, and so we were able to kind of talk about, like, this happened to my mom, this happened to me, what's this look like for her, but also, like, we kind of got down, or we never really got answers. There really was nothing that shown any sign of what happened to Gatlin. And most times they say that you will never find out.
right.
But at that point, any of that worry kind of I don't want to say went away, because I think at that point, your whole pregnancy, you're just kind of.
I was
It's in the back of
in
your
the
head
back
the
of
whole
my
time.
mind
Yeah.
the whole time. Like when I talked in a couple podcasts ago about them saying like, do you want a vaginal? Do you want a C-section? Like, we're going to have to induce you. Which route do you want to go? I was literally bawling because I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to make the wrong decision, because I didn't know what happened to my mom and Danielle, and I didn't know what happened to Courtney and Gatlin. And it's like, I was literally terrified. Like, this has to be my decision now, and I don't know what decision to make. And they're just in the back of my mind the whole time. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I don't want to be in that same situation. Like, we just did this in what year was that? 22?
February of 23.
February 23. And I was having IV in December of 23. And it's like, I don't want to relive this. And it was awful. I know I was like reviewing her pathology reports and talking to her doctors and like all of this stuff, because this was like May, and I had already found out like I was expecting, because we told her doctors at her appointment, like, I'm also expecting. Is this something hereditary, like genetic and stuff like that? And they basically said like her placenta wasn't the size that it should have been for a full-term pregnancy. And so we kind of leaned towards placental insufficiency, and still at that point, like,
However,
his weight was
though,
perfect.
I was going to say he was absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
So-
he wasn't underweight or anything.
So it's one of those things science couldn't give us answers. And in the unknown, the fear of the unknown. And in a situation when you're pregnant, like, you don't know what's going on in utero the whole time. And as a healthcare provider, it's like, I want to be in control, you know? Like, I want that precise answer. And that is what's hard, is not knowing in that situation. And so I think she's always going to have this ongoing grief too, of like, how is these next pregnancies going to look? And I think like you still went through grief even holding Langston, you know,
Oh, absolutely.
in a different way.
Say that would be.
And we
another
had
point,
so
too.
many extra appointments and so many extra tests. But as overwhelming as it was, and as mentally exhausting as it was, I think I needed that.
It was like reassurance.
Yes.
And just double checking the boxes. And I mean, I had to go through high risk pregnancy too. And I feel like that did help take a lot of that burden off, is like, okay, I'm going to see the doctor twice this week. I'm going to know things are okay twice this week. And bought a Doppler and did all those self checks. And
I borrowed her Doppler for my second pregnancy.
yeah.
So going into that, did you feel grief, guilt, any kind of,
When I found out I was pregnant?
Yes.
100%.
Did you?
I had no idea that I was pregnant. My cycle was late, and I did not even tell Trent. I took a test by myself, and he was home, and I went in the living room, and I just remember saying, "Oh my gosh, and he's, "What?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh." I couldn't even talk, and he's like, "What?" And I said, "I'm pregnant." And joy, like
Right.
pure joy, filled this man's eyes. And I started bawling.
So you have joy, and then you have the
I
scared.
think it was the fear. I think it was happiness. I think it was guilt as I'm looking at Gatlin's 8x10 photo on my fireplace mantle. I'm like I'm moving on.
Right.
And I'm like,
Like, is that okay?
Yeah, like I don't want to be happy, but feel like I'm forgetting you. And we
Because
have
in
to
a normal
remember.
situation, it'd be coexisting.
Yes, I was gonna say we have to remember what we talked about a couple episodes ago. Joy and grief can coexist,
Absolutely.
and that is the same thing with motherhood and grief. Those two things can coexist.
Yes.
And even though I'm not physically getting to hold him, I'm still his mom. I still love him just as much as if he were here today. Like, he's still just as present in my heart and my life and my conversations and everything that I do, just as much as Langston is. And so, like, in that moment, I had to remind myself that I'm not moving on without him. And it's actually really wild because we were nearing the last day of the it was
New
the
Year's Eve.
last day of the year, and we were coming over here for New Year's Eve that night.
I had just had Ivy and just got home 2 days prior.
Yeah. And I remember telling Trent, I'm like, and I think I was very open with my whole grief journey. I would post these long posts on Facebook with pictures of Gatlin because I wanted people to know about him. I wanted people to say his name. I wanted it to be like he was here. As crazy as that might sound to some people.
Not crazy.
And so many people were like, I love your opening up. I love your vulnerability. So many people were like, you need to write a book. Like,
Literally.
your words are beautiful.
Yes.
And so it made me feel good knowing that people were connecting with me on this and meeting me again where I was in my journey. But I told Trent at one point, I'm like, I'm having a really hard time as the new year's approaching. I said, how are we leaving this year of Gatlin going into a new year where he, quote unquote, doesn't exist? Like, he
Physically.
Yeah. He won't get to be there. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I was having a really, really rough time. And the last day of the year, God, I found out I was pregnant with Langston, and it's like he knew I needed to have somebody to look forward to.
It was like a little gift from him.
Yeah.
I
little blessing for
remember
sure.
when me and Josh found out we were expecting, this is, I don't even, 4 months
Post
post
Gatlin.
Gatlin.
4. Wasn't it only like 2? Was it in May?
No, that was February. We buried Gatlin in April. I found out the end of April. But
So that's 2 months.
2 months. Oh, her math ain't mathin' today.
Yeah.
Okay.
She might be book smart, but she's not very common sense smart.
I remember being like, I don't know how I'm going to tell my sister. But I knew that we wanted to tell Courtney and Trent privately, and we wanted to tell them first. And so
You guys came to our house.
came to their house to tell them, just because I didn't know, like, I don't want to do this publicly. I knew how she was with the public for the longest time, you know. And I think that's another thing you learn about how your friend and your family is grieving, so you can help better handle situations, you know, that you may put them in. And
I don't think you can overthink or overanalyze how to care for your loved one who just went through loss.
Right.
Let's just put that out there. Like, as long as you're thinking about them in everything you do, not that we need everything about us, you're doing what you can.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
so I think it was a question, like, is she going to want to be at the hospital? Like, is she going to want to come when I have Ivy? Because, like, this is the same year that we just lost Gatlin, you know? And I feel like it was actually a really good moment for you. Like,
And I think
just
that
hold
was
her.
valid because I missed your baby shower. I missed another friend's baby shower. I met your baby a month in to you having her, only because I approached Chelsea because
We were at my brother's wedding. Otherwise, yeah.
I felt like she was avoiding me, rightfully so, but I just made it a point to go over and you're okay. Like, I am happy for you type of thing. Didn't meet another friend's baby for quite some time. And then I was telling them earlier, another friend of mine, her baby shower was like 7-8 months later.
Towards the end of the year, for sure.
Yeah, and I couldn't stay long, thankfully. Sorry. But I went, and even her mom and I made eye contact across the room, and her mom looked at me and was like, "Are you okay?" And like, just knowing that people cared. Again, you don't want everything to be about you. That is not my day. That is not my shower. But just knowing that they're thinking about you through this
Yes.
gives you just that little bit of support.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, you thinking about how, because you were about to tell our whole family, we were getting ready to go on vacation, and she was going to announce her pregnancy to our parents.
Because we're going on an all-inclusive cruise. Like,
How's she
gonna be
not
able
going
to
to be
party
having
it up.
Yeah, but how is she not going to have drinks and stuff in front of
Yeah.
our parents? And so she came over to our house, and it was like mind-blowing. Like, I was so excited. Like a tinge of jealousy, but so excited.
yeah, I think it went really well. I think we were at a good point. Like, I feel like you had grown both in your faith and spirituality at that point, you know, because shortly after that, you were excited about the Share Walk. Isn't it called Share Walk?
Yeah.
The Share Walk, which, like,
Share is an organization that
it brings up all the babies that have passed. It remembers them.
yeah, it's for remembrance of infant loss. And so we made it a point to go to that. Like anything that we could do to...
And it was astounding how many people and baby names that were said on that day. We were sitting there for hours. It was like, I don't know. It's a beautiful disaster.
And they do it
kind of
right.
thing.
They do
Beautiful
a dove release.
chaos. Oh, little Gatlin. I tell you what, when I saw his little face, his little button nose, oh my God, I just wanted to, I don't understand how you produce such cute kids. Let's just start there. Okay. Langston is also effing adorable. Okay. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I still catch myself now sitting on my couch just eyeing, like, Gatlin is right there on my mantle. And now it just, like, hurts knowing that, like, I don't get to raise them together. Or I'll find the similarities in Langston and his appearance. Like, it hurts my heart that I never got to see his eyes, his eye color, or hear him make a sound. Those
Things
little
that you don't think about until you can't have them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, I didn't
Or
even dawn on me, like, we don't even know his eye color.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know?
Which, granted, they change when they're
Right.
newborn, you know what I mean? But, like, just all these little things, I just wonder. Like,
You're seeing it in Langston, so you're like, I wonder what Gatlin would be like.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, would
Langston's
he
the
be
chillest baby ever.
So
So
it's
it's
like
like
happy, smiley.
when-
I'm like, would Gatlin be like that
Yeah.
too?
No, he might be crazy and rambunctious like
Yeah.
my Ivy, you know? Like,
Ivy. Oof. Ivy and Evie. Their names
Spit
rhyme for a
fires.
reason.
like, grief is, I think, a big thing to remind people, like, you're not alone. It's valid.
It's a beautiful chaos, I feel like, because it's just a roller
I
coaster
called
of
it a
emotions.
beautiful disaster because I feel like it's
Beautiful
a disastrous
disaster.
time in your life.
Yep.
But, like, there is beauty in knowing, like, he is now in Lord's hands.
Yep.
He's living that eternal peace. And one day you'll get to see him again.
I'm sure that wasn't comforting at first.
At first, not at all. Not at all. And then it's like one day it just kind of hit me. We had started going to church again. And the most, like, cliche way I can just... Oh, whoa. The most cliche way that I can describe it is like, why would I not believe and trust in the person who is holding my child safe for me right now? Mm-hmm. Do you get what I'm saying?
100%.
That's strong.
He's a creator. He
Yeah.
made him. And
I'm
he welcomed
like,
him
I'm
home.
not going to follow the person who's keeping my baby for me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's deep.
Yeah. And I actually just the other day, have you guys seen that little video or meme or whatever going around that says, when it's my time to go, make sure you have me laced up in my tennis shoes because I
Yeah.
have a baby boy to meet in heaven
Yeah.
to run around with?
Yes.
I shared that one day and literally just bawled because I'm like, seriously, I cannot wait till the day that I get to see him again. And
That trend was intense, to say the least.
yeah.
So we'll kind of go into, like, what are words for other parents, like encouragement for others that are going through loss. Do you have any?
Well, I just want to remind people that everybody is going to grieve differently, and loss in any aspect is heavy and deep and dreadful. So it's not black or white. Like, no, there isn't a one size fits all. You're going to be open to talk about it or you're not. You're going to want to honor them in literally everything that you do or you're not going to want to. And that's okay.
Some people will get right back up at it the next day. Some people will take 6 months.
Some people have to keep going or else they just
Fall apart.
fall. Yeah. So I want everybody listening, especially the people who haven't been through it, to just remember that you have to meet that person where they are and be open to whatever they might feel or what they might say. Don't get your feelings hurt because they may not intentionally want to hurt you, but they are hurting so much that they can't help but to hurt you. You know what I mean? But you're not alone, because some of us have went through it too. And I honestly wouldn't have been able to make it through, obviously, the support of my friends and family. But no offense to all my friends and family, but not everybody knows the depth of what I was feeling or the depth of the words that I was saying. But there are some parents who do, and specifically moms. Like, some moms reached out to me that have went through it, and that was the most helpful thing.
Like validating.
Not that I was happy that they knew what I was feeling,
Right.
but I probably had 3 that I can totally think of that reached out that had lost, same thing, infant loss. So it was just very specific to what I was going through. And we connected so hard and messaged so much that, like, it just gave me a little insight to that what I was feeling was normal.
Right.
And what I was feeling was okay. And no matter what I said, they totally understood. So if you have that, that's great. I highly recommend connecting with somebody who knows what you're feeling. I'm always here. If anything I said resonates with you, you're always able to talk. But yeah,
There's
it's
always
just
share groups,
life
groups, church groups, like
church groups. I read 2 books after Gatlin. I read one in a whole day, 1 book in a day. I think it was called Unexpecting, and it was by Rachel Lewis. And again, not everything in these books you're going to connect with. There was some parts of books that I was like, I'm not feeling that. But I think that was one of them that I was like, oh, wow, like everything. And then there was another one, Ask Me His Name by Elle Wright, I believe. Those 2 books were probably the 2 that just like
Really
hit
hit
me.
you.
Yeah. So if you're a reader and going through it, I highly recommend those books. But just, if you're up for it, I would just connect with somebody who knows what you're feeling.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate you letting us talk
I
about
appreciate
Yeah.
you guys.
Gatlin. This episode we'll dedicate to him. And I think
little baby no.
I think it's only fair if we end in a prayer. If everybody's okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay. This will be for remembrance and comfort for all those angel babies. Holy Spirit, may you heal our hearts, inspire us to live faithfully in the hope of our everlasting peace and joy in heaven, and may we be together as a family again. Eternal rest grant upon them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May their souls and the souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. I pray with full faith that someday I will see them again. Amen.
Amen. Oh, that's a good one.
All right, guys. Well, until next time, we are
Motherhood Unhinged.